Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Neelam and I make videos and all about making and selling candles. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how much inventory would you need when you first start selling candles. I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on how to choose inventory, on how to buy inventory when you first start selling candles. I'm also going to tell you what are the things I did wrong when it came to choosing inventory and how much inventory to have. So with that being said, let's get into the video. The first thing I'm going to mention is that before you even start choosing inventory or buying inventory, you need to understand how to make candles. I would recommend you guys buy a candle making kit. A candle making kit is made up of all the supplies you would need to make a candle. They all come ready made and then you can just make the candle. So this candle making kit you can get from a candle supply store. I personally buy my supplies from SA Candle Supply. So the only thing you need to know is what candle you want to make. Do you want to make a soy wax candle or a beeswax candle? All these candle kits are made specifically for that specific candle. So if you want to make a paraffin candle, you need to buy the kit that has the supplies for a paraffin candle. Before you even start buying inventory and thinking about selling candles, you need to first educate yourself on how to make candles and familiarize yourself with the candle making process. If you choose to make a soy wax candle, they will have the jars ready for you in the candle making kit. They will have the wax that you need, which is the soy wax. They will have the wicks, and they will also give you fragrance oils. So you have everything ready in that kit, and it makes your life easier because when you are starting out in making candles, you need to know how to make candles before you do anything else. In the beginning, I didn't buy a candle making kit, and choosing inventory was very difficult for me because I was in the testing phase of how to make candles, what wax works with my candles, what wick works. So choosing a candle making kit is best because they come ready made and you just have to look at the instructions and make the candle. My second tip is that once you're happy and you understand the candle making and this is something that you want to do, then only can you buy your supplies to make candles. Here's the thing. There is no set way into buying inventory for candle supplies because everyone is different. Some candle makers will buy a lot of inventory while other candle makers will not. So I'm just going to give you my personal tip as to what I did, and maybe you can apply this if you feel this is best for you. You need to understand how much candles do you want to even start selling. Do you want to sell 10 candles, 15 candles? The amount of candles you want to buy will then influence how much inventory you want to buy. For me personally, I knew that I wanted to sell 15 candles. I knew that I needed to buy enough inventory to make 15 candles. You need to go to your candle supply and see how do they sell their waxes. I personally get my supplies from SA Candle Supply, and the wax I use is soy wax. The soy wax they sell comes in 1 kgs, 10 and 20 kgs. I needed to know the full weight of my jar. In order to determine the full weight of your jar, you need to go to your candle supplier where you bought the jar from to see how much wax will fit in that candle. I determined that my full weight will be 148 grams. For 15 candles that hold 148 grams, I basically times 148 times 15, which gave me 2.220 grams of wax. So since my candle supplier sells their waxes in kilograms, I would buy 2.22 kilograms of wax. Round that up, so that leads to buying 3 kilograms of wax to make 15 candles. I'll put the calculations up here on how I figured that out. The same calculation that I did applies to the fragrance oil. I knew that 11 grams of fragrance oil would fit for my candles. If you know how much fragrance oil holds in your one candle, then you can determine how much inventory you would need to buy. So I said 11 grams times 15 candles that I want to make will give me 165 grams of fragrance oil. My candle supply sells their fragrance oils in 100 ml, 500 ml and 1 liter bottles. I figured that if I times 11 grams of my fragrance oil times 15 candles that I want to make, it gives me 165 grams of fragrance oil. I knew that I needed to buy 200 ml of fragrance oil so that I can make 15 candles because I measure my fragrance oil in grams. So 1 gram is 1 milliliter. I basically just googled and I said what is 1 gram, so it gave me 1 milliliter. So if I need 165 grams of fragrance oil, I needed 200 mils of fragrance oil because I needed more fragrance oil to make my 15 candles, not less. And it's better to have more fragrance oil in case you make a mistake and then you can just redo that candle again. I needed 3 kgs of wax to make 15 candles and I needed 200 ml of fragrance oil to make 15 candles. This is how you would go about buying your other supplies. For the jars, if you want to sell 15 candles, you need to buy 15 jars. These are the calculations you could do in order to figure out how much inventory you would need. I would say buy your candle supplies in bulk because they can get expensive. I live in Cape Town. My candle supplier is in Johannesburg. To ship the candle supplies to me does cost a lot, and if I'm going to buy these candle supplies in bulk, it means that it's going to cost more because it weighs more. Make sure that you have enough inventory. Buy your candle supplies in bulk in order to prevent you from getting charged a high shipping cost. These calculations and this method will be dependent on how many candles you want to sell initially. If you want to sell more candles, 50 candles, 100 candles, this means that you'll have to buy more supplies. In order to sum up everything I said, figure out how many candles you want to start selling. Once you figure out how many candles you start selling, figure out how much wax, fragrance oil, jars, etc. you would need to make those candles. Buy your supplies in bulk, and this is how you would go about choosing inventory and buying inventory when you're starting to sell your candles. I'm going to mention the things I did wrong when it came to buying inventory. The number one thing I did wrong was I did not properly educate myself on how to make candles, which further prolonged the testing phase. I didn't buy a candle making kit, which was my first mistake. I had troubles with wax, I had troubles with my wick. I was eating into my inventory supplies. When I was done in the testing phase, I had no inventory to start making candles to sell, so I had to buy inventory twice. The shipping was more expensive, my wax and fragrance oil was more expensive because I ate into my inventory when I was testing. Please don't do what I did and not buy a candle making kit. Properly educate yourself in how to make candles before you even start making the commitment into buying inventory. My second mistake is that I did not know what wax or wick would work in my candle. As I said, I didn't buy a candle making kit, so I didn't know what wax would work with soy wax, what wicks work with a soy wax, and what wicks work with my jar. Since I bought my candle jar from somewhere else, I didn't buy it from a candle supplier, so this prolonged the testing phase I was in. So the candle making kit that you guys are going to purchase will already have the wax, the wick, and the jar that works with making your specific candle. I had a lot of issues with that, so that's why I say the testing phase is important, because if you test the candles properly, you will not be in the testing phase as long as I was. The third thing is, since I ate into my inventory supplies when I was in my testing phase, I used a lot of wax and fragrance oil, which meant that I had no leftover inventory to use when I was still testing my candles. So I had to buy inventory again a second time in order to sell the candles, because I did not properly educate myself. So having less supplies was something I did, and I didn't buy a surplus in supplies because I thought that candle making would be easy. I just have to make the candles quickly and then it would be fine. But in actual fact, it was not that quick at all. Having less supplies of your candle making is something that I did wrong. So I always recommend buying more supplies than you would think you need, because sometimes when you are making candles, the wick moves out of place, you spilled a lot of fragrance oil. You cannot prevent those mistakes from happening. So if you have extra wax, extra fragrance oils, even sometimes extra wicks, mistakes will happen when you're making candles. You pour the wax wrong, the wax didn't cure properly, the fragrance oil wasn't strong enough, you need to now go test that again. You need to have extra supplies in order to fix that issue. Having less supplies was the mistake that I made. My fourth mistake was I had to figure out the full weight of my jar. Full weight basically means how much wax does your candle hold in your particular jar. I bought my candle jars from a different supplier and they didn't give me the full weight of my jar. Know your wax full amount for your candle. This will help you buy inventory. My fifth mistake that I made a lot of mistakes. The fifth mistake I made was I bought a lot of wicks during my testing phase and I didn't label them. So when I was going through the testing phase and eating through my inventory, I bought so many wicks during that process. Once I found the wick that worked, I forgot to label it. I would recommend that when you're buying wicks, please label them as to what wick it is. Write down the size of that wick, because wicks come in different sizes if you didn't know. So you need to label the wick size and the wick type in order to figure out what wick worked best for your candle. If you want to make 200-300 candles, you're going to need a wax melter. A wax melter melts wax at a higher rate and it holds a lot of wax at the same time. When I first started making candles, I still used a double boiler method, and I still use a double boiler method because I'm not producing a mass amount of candles. So I used a double boiler, and I'm sure you guys would use a double boiler if you are just starting out. I'm just recommending this because if you guys want to produce 50 to 100 candles, you would need a wax melter in order to produce that high amount of candles. There's no set way of buying inventory. Every candle maker does it differently, but this is how I bought my candle supplies. This is what I did in order to calculate how much inventory I would need to make my 15 candles. So if you want to apply these tips, you can. You can also watch other candle makers on YouTube, see what they did, how they bought their candles inventory. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Iridescent Candle Co, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.